Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business of Animation podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to helping budding animation entrepreneurs create their own financially sustainable businesses while also maintaining personally fulfilling creative careers.
My name is Cabblow, I'm your host, and this is episode 8.
Listen, I am so excited.
I literally just said the words, this is episode 8.
Can we just appreciate the progress? We are moving forward. We are making progress. I'm very proud. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Today is very exciting because I am talking to Lise Menzen, the co-founder and co-creator of a company called Innobin that develops an animation app called Callipeg. And if you don't know what Calipeg is, it's a 2D animation app for the iPad, and it has really been picking up a lot of momentum online, and people are very excited about it, to be able to create industry standard animation. And it's like easy enough for beginner users to get into Calipeg and use it, but it's also robust enough for professional users to get into Calipeg and see that they can make the same standard of work that they do professionally on an iPad. And I met Liz through Annecy Online 2021 because obviously pandemic, that's the situation. And when I saw her name, her contact and everything, and I spoke to her, I was like, that's so cool. This is the real person who made Calipeg. And I would say, without giving too much away of the conversation, it's really important for us as the users of tools, or for us as business owners who are now gathering resources to make the animation productions that we're going to make. It's very important for us to also hear from the people who develop the tools that we make, because to hear what sort of things are they making, how do they make what they make, and to see if it would fit into our current pipeline structures and all of that, because I never imagined an iPad being something that you could seriously use to make animation. Maybe for a hobby or for illustration, because there's Procreate. So obviously there's been leaps and bounds in illustration, but with Calipeg, it's like level 1000. Okay, you can do some seriously cool stuff. So I'm not gonna ramble on anymore. Here's my conversation with Liz from Innobin, the developers of Calipeg. And if you are watching this on YouTube, it's a special treat because Calipeg has included a demo of the animation being used. So you can then see all the cool tools and the extent to which Calipeg can be used. Okay, without further ado, here is the episode. Thank you so much, Liz, for joining me on the podcast. I'm very excited to talk about Calipeg and everything that you are doing. But before we kind of get into all the details, I would love for the people listening to just get a bit of an introduction from you to know who you are and exactly what is Calipeg. So please go ahead.
Okay. Likewise, thank you very much for having me and having us. So my name is Lise Menzen. I'm the co-founder and co-creator of Calipeg and also Innobin, which is the company we set it to sell the app. And so Innobin is a French company. We started last year in February 2020. So just in the middle of a crisis. And we started to sell Calipeg in April since last year. So it's a little bit of 1 year now since Calipeg is available on the App Store. And Calipeg is a 2D animation app for iPad OS. So it's at the moment on iPad. And so you have all the tools to draw 2D animation. So it's a hand-drawn pixel-based application. And we are aiming at people who work professionally, but also, of course, people, hobbyists who wants to get into animation, but like want to do a little more than just doodling around and have a fully manageable timeline and really like get the feeling of that what we're doing is the correct way of animating or like for the illustration.
And Calipeg is so cool. The first time I heard about it, I was watching a YouTube channel where they were explaining that you could do animation on the iPad. And I was like, what do you mean? And then I saw Calipeg and I was so excited. And I was like, and then when I met you at Annecy, just for everybody to know, we actually met through Annecy Online 2021. And then when I met you through Annecy, I was like, this is so cool. I get to meet the creators of Calipeg. Specifically, I know you told me there's 4 of you right now. What is your role at the company?
So I'm taking care of all the administrative part, like creating company, paperwork, the board stuff. And also I'm taking care of sales. So this one a little more interesting because I get to participate to events. So for example, this year we participate to ANSI with a virtual booth. So it was the first time actually I participate to an event. Also, we want to do, of course, more events once the situation gets a little better. And I'm also taking care of contacting people who might be interested in Calipeg or like getting in touch with studios. And also I take care of creating the app. So I bring ideas like what I get from studios or other customers, and we try to get it into the app. So that's part of my job at InnoBen.
That's amazing. And it actually makes you such a perfect guest for this podcast because it is about, the business side, not just the creative. Because at least what I've realized is sometimes we forget that we love the art and we love the tools, but somebody has to go out there and make sure that sales are happening so that we can continue making the art and all of that. So that's why you're just a perfect guest. I actually want to find out, what was the original inspiration for Calipeg?
So, I visited many studios from my past job, and I realized that actually many people were using iPads and in an animation studio, but they didn't really have a tool to really animate on it. They're just like, it's drawing, it's concept, it's rough, okay, but not real animation. And I thought that iPad is such a great device. I mean, it's more powerful. It's like really easy to get into your hands on an iPad. And like many people already own one. So why not make an application for that? Because apparently there's no animation app, but some of them exist that meet people need. So there's something to create out there. And I think people will be very happy to use an iPad to animate. So that was the inspiration for Calipeg.
Hi everyone, I'm just popping back in here to let you know that Cabblow Studios has been running a 3-month virtual animation residency where we've been helping 5 young animation directors create their first short films, and we're actually going to be releasing a behind the scenes series on our YouTube channel, which is the Cabblow Studios YouTube channel, where you'll be able to watch all the episodes of how our residents managed to make their short films during the virtual residency. I hope that you will enjoy it, and the first episode comes out on the 20th of August. So I hope that you'll enjoy it and catch it on our YouTube channel and share and all the things. But yeah, I'm so excited to share that. Otherwise, that's it for this little ad. Here's the rest of the episode with Liz. The Cabblow Studios virtual animation residency was made possible by the NFVF and TV Paint.
Wow, so professional studios actually use iPad as part of their work instead of like a desktop or a Cintiq or something. Wow, I didn't realize that.
It's more like a compliment. Like I wanted to improve also that part because many people see the iPad as just like a support. Like I have a computer and I bring my iPad to do something on the go. And I really wanted to link that part, like really make something that would link the computer and the iPad together so that people won't feel any restraint in their creativity, or they can actually, when they're tired of looking at the computer, they just move on the couch. And well, of course, it's maybe not the best setting for animation. Who knows? People might want to do that, or go on into a park. And it's such a mobile device, and there's so many things you can do with it. But yeah, there's some things you can really work professionally on iPad. I really believe that. And with new models coming up, and they're more and more amazing in terms of performance, it really broadens all the perspective what you can do with that.
So how did you gather the team? Did you guys all kind of have the same realization about iPad together, or how did you all come together to start working on Calipeg?
We used to be co-workers, so we knew each other from work before, and we didn't say that we're not friends, we're just co-workers. So we knew each other as okay, we know how we work. So after we came to realize that maybe we all are very passionate about iPad and mobility, and the idea was very seducing. So we decided to take off and just do our own thing. That's how we gathered. And we work pretty well. I mean, everyone has their own specialty and their own expertise. So we are very good at big work together. Like, for example, we have developers, so specialty development. We have a website and UI designer. So she's making all the design of the app and also taking care of the design of the website. And we have a communication manager. So he's taking care of all social medias and all the tutorials videos also. And that's like a perfect fit. Everyone has their own role. And at the moment, it's a pretty small team, but everyone is essential and everyone's working very hard to achieve that. So that's really, really important to get people that are passionate and also good at what they do.
That's actually very, very smart. I remember I released another episode of this podcast, and somebody commented that they feel like they still want to be creative, but they're worried that because they'll have to do business, they're not going to have enough time for the creative. So at Calipeg, you guys already got it right. That you've got clear roles and clear people who you've partnered up with to carry all the different parts of making the app and distributing it and improving it, so that you don't get roles confused, or you don't become overwhelmed because it's one person trying to do everything. So that's very inspiring. I actually didn't know that you had created a Kickstarter for Callipeg. What made you decide to do a Kickstarter last year? And it was very successful. They raised over 12,000 euros to make Calipeg. It was very successful. Why did you decide to do that?
First, it was because we started. All of us were not employed when we decided to create Calipeg, except me. And so we needed kind of a financial support from people. I mean, we have been developing for more than 6 months. So at some point, we need to get a little cushion to support ourselves. And also, we wanted the visibility, because Kickstarter offers a good way for us to get visibility and get the project noticed by people. So, and also, it was also a way for us to try to see if that project had enough perspective, was enough interesting for people to get into it. So as we saw what we got over our goal, we realized that, people were really looking for it and they're supporting us. So it's really encouraging and motivating us to go forward.
I mean, I'm very inspired. I do my studio with my mom, and I was telling her, Mom, Callipeg did a Kickstarter. And she was like, yes, we have to also do we have to also do the same thing. But I'm sure it wasn't always easy trying to get Calipeg off of the ground. And before we even talk about some of the challenges, I think maybe it might be worthwhile if the audience could know, what is your personal background in the animation industry, and how did you end up now being in software development, developing apps and all of that? What is your personal background?
So I'm not an artist, so that might be like sometimes it may be a little problematic in recognition, but so far we didn't face that so much. So that's a good point. But I was always into animation since high school, and I wanted to work in production. Like I wanted to work as a production coordinator, maybe not a producer myself because I thought you needed money, and I was like, no, I don't have that kind of money, so maybe I can be a producer. But as a coordinator, I might be a good fit because I like to organize things and get people together and make things like happen. So, and also I love animation, so it was kind of my goal. And then I love Japanese animation. So I went to Japan to study, and it's a little complicated to find at that time a course about production. So I focused myself on communication, and maybe communicating about movies and films might be like opening doors. And then after I came back to France, and I worked for a software company that was an animation software. So that brought me to the direct world of studios and animation, and I really, really love that. So it's thanks to this experience that I get to know how actually the software industry was really important in animation in such a particular market, and everyone is nice. I mean, I did met some people who are not so nice, but overall, I think in animation, everyone is very kind. So that was really motivating me to continue in this field. And as when you are a tool maker, you don't have all the pressure of what animation studio can have. Like you don't have deadlines of this kind of like sponsors and things, people to answer to in general. But you are, of course, you have other troubles such as competition or technical limitation, which is your biggest adversary is the device itself. It's like a fight. But yeah, that's how I came up to work for creating Calipeg.
Okay. Thank you. That's so cool. I mean, it then makes sense to me why you've also got like Japanese tutorial for a Calipeg on the Calipeg YouTube channel. I can see maybe the connection there. Also, Japan, obviously, 2D animation, the connection there as well. But then I see, okay, so that's how that kind of comes together as well. I'm actually glad that you mentioned competition, because that was one of my questions was, how did you break into the market when there were so many other tools out there that are considered, industry standard? I'm lifting air fingers for people listening. Like, how did you manage to break in and make Calipeg known?
But first, we had an advantage on the choice of the device because we are focusing on iPad. So there were not so many animation tools on the iPad at the moment. So it was really a huge advantage. And also, as we got experience from working from software, so we know the limitation, we know the issues. So first, when we started developing, we were like, okay, we're going to tackle these issues first so we can actually make difference from other software. So it's like, okay, stay simple, focus on doing this, the timeline gesture and this kind of thing was like, this is our strength because we know the issues that other people have in other softwares. So we try to address that first and keep it simple. So that was the first thoughts we have, and we'll try to make it different from competition. Also, we try to, what makes us different, I think, but will be more visible in the future, is that we try to still link with other softwares. We're not open source. but we try to still not be totally in Calipeg, because that there are some limitations. Some people will still work with other softwares. I mean, I never saw anyone just using one software to make everything. So it's important to us that we try to communicate with other softwares, open source or private companies, so we can actually exchange data and make people work for better. And I think that's important for us. That's going to be a huge advantage for people who use Calipeg, is that they can still use it and then move to other platform or do other steps beside Calipeg, because Calipeg maybe won't be able to do this because the device is limited. Other software is not there for that. And people could be able to continue and won't be frustrating because they are just stuck in one application. I really don't want to do that, because I know the frustration when you're working in a software and you want to move on the next step and you're like, oh, I can't do this. And exporting is going to be hell. So that's really something we want to stress and makes us different from others that we do.
So I'm glad you thank you for that answer. I want to find out what are some of your favorite features or accomplishments with Calipeg?
The features is like the timeline by itself, because it's very, very versatile. You can manipulate sheets and drawings very easily. So that's something that I think is also the strength of the iPad, that helps that we can select with the pencil. And when I get back to your computer, I need to use my mouse to select things. I'm like, oh, with pencil. So it's really, you're actually touching it. That's magic. So I think it's a great achievement what the developer did to do that, because I mean, it asks a lot of reflection. Like, people don't realize that in animation you handle a lot of sheets. So what you see and what's happening in the background is actually a lot of work. It's not illustration. It's just not just layers. It's like moving forward and backwards, and you need to load a lot of frames. So people are not aware that actually it's a technical achievement to do that, because you need to manage the iPad not blowing up. So because it has a lot of memory. So that's one of the achievements I'm very proud of. And also because we try to really use the gesture, combine the gesture, and try to get inspiration from animators while they work on paper. So we really try to redo the flipping part, or manipulating also timelines, drawing. Really, gesture is a very important part of Calipeg. We should put more tutorial when you launch it the first time for people to explain it. We are aware of that. But it's make your work so much easier. And that's one of the things that really we adapt pretty well.
So when you say gesture, I think I saw in the tutorial, so like if you pinch your fingers, or to maybe reset your canvas, or I think there was double tap with two fingers to undo. That's what you mean, right? When you say gestures.
Yeah, but you just tap with two fingers to undo, three to redo. But like in other apps, it's the same. So we try to just to do the same thing, because otherwise people will be lost. Also, you can flip with three fingers on the canvas. You can also, when you are transforming, you can touch one finger to have guides. So it's really part of the whole thing. And also one thing that is very, I think, unique in Calipeg is that we have a left-handed interface. So because I noticed that a lot of animators or artists are actually left-handed, and most drawing software don't really adapt to that. And in Calipeg, you can completely invert the whole interface, so you don't have to get your hands in the middle of canvas. So when you pick your layer, you don't have any obstacle in front of you. And also because one of our co-founders, he's left-handed, so that helps with beta test.
That's it really goes back to what you were saying at the beginning about how you want to show the power of using the iPad,
because the iPad is not like normal display tablets. You can rotate your iPad, you can hold it portrait or landscape, and then you touch your iPad with your fingers, but there's also the pencil. And then obviously the actual iPad itself. I mean, I'm not a technical person, but I can see that they always increase the power of the iPad, its processing power, its storage, and all of that. You will have better terminology than me. But just hearing you explain everything, it's really like you're taking at least our understanding of the extent of which you can use your iPad to do some amazing things in animation. Like you're leveling it up with Calipeg, where before maybe iPad was just for sketching or taking notes. Now it's like a real tool that can compete with other industry hardware and apps, software that out there. So that is very, very exciting. I wanted to also ask, what has your experience been with like the users of Calipeg? I know I went to the website to check if it's available in South Africa, and it is. So it's available worldwide. But how has that experience been with the users?
So first we started, we had the first development stage where we had a small group of beta testers, but we personally know, I mean, so they were friends or acquaintance and works in studios or freelance. And we asked them we have a beta that is available for them, so they could try it out and give us their insight. And as we released the app, we created the Discord community so people can give us some feature requests. And also we are accepting more betas now because we need more people try it out. So if you're interested, you can go to the website and ask to be a beta tester. Of course, you need to write motivations because we had a motivation, like you can write something. And generally we accept people who make the effort to write something saying, I'm doing this and I really wish you could pay because of that. So that's how we are growing up our community. And by beta testers, as some of our professionals, some of them are students, it's really good to know the insight, like not only professional, but students or hobbyists as well, because not everyone has an experience in animation. So we need Calipeg still to be easy for people who are not used to work professionally, but also professional enough for people who work in studio to like feel that, this tool I can make my short film with. So, or feature, who knows? That would be ideal. That's why we need a lot of diverse background people.
I noticed, and everybody, Liz is being very humble. The Instagram page is like 48,000 followers, and the tutorial, the full length tutorial, beginner tutorial, it's got like 85,000 views. I just checked this morning. So it really looks like there's lots of attention, lots of engagement. I also noticed on the Instagram page, sometimes you feature like, maybe somebody has made an animation in Calipeg, and then you'll feature them, and then they'll say something about why they enjoy using Calipeg. And I was like, that's so clever in terms of marketing. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, how much is an iPad? Because I have an iMac computer. And I thought, how much is an iPad? How much is Calipeg? I want to try Calipeg for sure. But I thought that was such a clever way to market to the user and really show the interest and the care for their experience. So I just want to say just congratulations to you guys for that, for being so engaging. What were your thoughts on that strategy?
But it's for us, it's like natural. I mean, I believe you can't really make a tool that people appreciate if you don't communicate with them, if you don't ask them what they think. Every time someone makes something on Calipeg, post it on social media, if they tag us, we contact them directly and tell them, oh, thank you for using Calipeg, how was it? And eventually we get some trouble. Of course, some people complain. Yeah, they said, "Oh yeah, I did this one, but I'm missing this tool." And we listen to them because it's important, and we try to keep track of what everyone is saying, and we have a table for that. like there's an issue, or there's something to improve, or something you're missing, and we post them on Calipeg social media, and we ask people to show their progress. If they can send us a screenshot or something, so people can see the layers of progression and the comments. So, I mean, it's important for people to explain how they did it, because some people are to convince also all people, because many people believe you can animate on an iPad, or you can get organized, or you can do something great, or it's just doodle. So we need professionals or people who are actually very talented, or illustrators even, who want to go into animation, to show, yes, you can do it, you can use it, it's perfectly fine. And then when people see that, they say, oh, let's try it, because if these people can do it, why not?
Speaking of fresh animation, we actually just recently released the teaser to our third short film called The Little Teaspoon of Sugar. The Little Teaspoon of Sugar is about Lise, a netball star who is just starting high school, and she has all these hopes for how high school is going to be, but everything is messed up when she gets diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so the short film is about her experience changing her life, and we're just really excited because it's the sequel to 3 Teaspoons of Sugar 2 years later, and the Little Teaspoon is going to come out later on in this year. But in case you haven't seen that teaser, just go on over to the Cabblow Studios YouTube channel, or Vimeo, or Facebook, but you can go to YouTube and you'll be able to see the teaser. That's it. Let's head on to the last part of the episode.
What have been some of the complaints that the users have had, or maybe the challenges of developing an app for iPad? Or what are some of the things that you've come across?
Mostly it was because we didn't have enough. There's a lot of iPad. I mean, there are a lot of different models, and not every iPad has the same capacity, and we can't buy all of them on our site. So that's why we asked more beta testers at some point, because we really need a wide range of models. Because sometimes for especially older versions, the memory is limited. So the developer is already testing on a very basic one, but some people might even have worse. So we need to try it out and figure out why on this particular, sometimes it's just one model, why this particular model is crashing more than the other. So that's probably the most common complaint, is like, why it crash. And most of the time is like your iPad is not powerful enough, or there is a process that works on a more modern one, but on older one, the process is totally too much for them. So that's one of the issue. Also, it's like we just started, so there's a lot of features that are still missing, and sometimes I understand the need of like, yes, it's we have a Trello, like a roadmap. When we list what we plan to do, it's like, it's a roadmap, but wait a moment. So people are like very impatient. They want perfect tool right away. And we're like, we're not Superman. and the developer is already, he's already doing his best, and he's working very hard. So people sometimes don't realize how hard is it to do a simple feature. Like some features are done in 2 seconds, and others are like, they take months.
Wow.
So it really depends what time of thing. Like what we discussed recently is like inverting the play. So sometimes you want to check your character by flipping it to see if the model fits. And just doing that actually asks a lot of time. it seems easy, but it's not.
And I think that's also something that I'm also learning to appreciate, because I'm also just a user. I animate, I draw, all of that. And you use your drawing tablet, you use your software, and you want it to do all these crazy things, but you don't really understand what it takes to actually make those features, or what it means when I say, can I please have a transform feature? And I need it to be able to transform a uniform and transform not uniform. And I need to be able to transform on all of my layers all at once, because I'm doing something complicated or whatever. And I have this interesting idea, this feedback, but I don't always know how software development actually works as a user. And that's why I do think it's important to hear from people who create these tools that we love, so we can understand the thing that we're asking for. What will it take to actually make it, Yeah. And I wanted to ask, so Calipeg has like different pricing for when you want to buy it, you per month, per year, or permanent. What was the reason for doing it like that?
But that's also from users, because generally the subscription model is kind of the standard, like more and more. Not so many softwares left that you can just buy a permanent one. And that's for, but if you know a little about economics, that makes sense. I mean, it's more lucrative to have a subscription than having a permanent buy, especially when the price of your permanent version is low. But we were like, if we do subscription, we're not going to be starting on a good step, because we're not going to be having a good start, because people will be, oh no, another subscription. So we are like, okay, we are going to do a subscription and permanent. So everyone is going to be happy. Permanent is, of course, way higher than subscription. So at least on our hand, we can make something, because, I mean, we're already paying ourselves very low. So it's like at some point we can't handle it if the sales don't follow. So we try to give us people as much option as possible. And actually, if people really want to support us, they take the subscription. And say that it's not written in the App Store. If you want to support us, it's subscription, please. But economically speaking, subscription is more interesting for us, because it's continuous income, whereas like buying one shot is just one time thing.
And are you able to now work on Calipeg full time as the team, or does everybody still have like part-time jobs elsewhere?
But I'm the only one working on the side. All the others are full time on Calipeg.
Oh, okay. So that's actually very encouraging. It's the at least the actual business is now having enough momentum to sustain people that they can actually work full time. I did have a question. What are some of those future plans for Calipeg that you're really excited about, or that are almost kind of close to being added to the app?
But one of them is that we're going to improve importing and exporting features, so people can finally move from Calipeg to other software. So that's one of the things we are going to release probably in the next version of a big update, because we have minor updates. It's like fix and things we just realize are very, very annoying, or it crashed, and then we put it on the App Store as soon as possible. And we have major updates when we release tutorials and we update the documentation. So generally for bigger features. So the next one is going to be import, export, and should work. I mean, I'm testing it and it works so far, little glitches, but it should be okay. And also we're going to improve the interface a little, because I noticed that many people are like, watch the tutorial, basic one. It's still the interface was 1 year ago, so we need to do another one. And this will be updated when the interface will be a little more polished.
And would you ever do Calipeg for other tablets, like maybe on an Android device or on a desktop? Is that ever something that you guys might plan to do in the future?
We got that question very often. Of course, everyone wants to have Calipeg on their tablet. I mean, mostly from tablet users. And people always asking, like, Android, please, Android, please. But actually, Android has a lot of challenge for us. We pose a lot of challenge for us because there's so many devices in Android, but we are not sure that it will work on all of them. And so many versions and so many pencils. Because what people don't know is that integrated pencil is actually complicated. Like with Apple Pencil, we didn't have any trouble because already coming with iPad, I mean, iPad development kit, iOS development kit give you the pencil management tool, so it's okay. But as soon as you try to implement another type of pencil or stylus, you need to read the developer kit and make tests and have the pen. Also, you need to ask the maker if they want to give you a pen, otherwise you buy it. So on Android, it's going to be like a lot of devices to check, a lot of pencils to check as well. So it's like either we focus on one, we say, okay, this one seems to be like the main thing, it's powerful enough, we're focusing. But the risk is that the maker is going to say, okay, we just discounted this, discontinued this product. And what do we do? So that's why Android for us is like, when Calipeg will be complete, like it's always an ongoing work, but like we think that it's close to be finished or we've reached the limit, maybe we're going to think about the Android part. But at the moment it's like iOS, iPad OS is much more comfortable and the device is kind of going, or you know what we are going to, where we're going to. So we try to focus on that. But I know that for the desktop part, Apple is making like a lot of improvements, so apps can move to the Mac more easily. So we try to look into that. At the moment, they just say, okay, you just need to check to put a tick in the checkbox that it moves through iOS to iMac. Yes. You need to work on your app a little before, because otherwise we have so many gestures that are not assigned to any kind of keyboard shortcut or mouse. So you can't do many things. So we try to look into this. We are waiting for Apple to make more updates to make the process easier. But it will be a good thing to try. I mean, for us, it's a good thing to look into.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I suppose it would depend on your users, right? Because if a lot of the users are tablet users and maybe they're not asking too much for a desktop version, then maybe it's not time yet to focus on the desktop. But it's just telling me that, yes, there can be many requests, but it's about making sure you guys as a business, as the creators, focus on, okay, what are we trying to do first? And then after that, once we understand what we're doing a little bit more, then we can try out other versions, other ideas. But don't expand too soon without actually pinning down the best version to expand, I guess. And I mean, I would love to see a desktop version, but it's making me want to buy an iPad to see Calipeg. So, I did want to ask, when there's lots of like iOS updates, does that interfere with how Calipeg works, or do users have maybe like issues of crashes because maybe there's lots of iOS updates? Do you ever have issues like that?
So far we didn't. It's just that it will be an issue when iOS decide to but Apple decided to not make any iOS update on former devices, like old devices. So at that time, we need to decide if Calipeg will be still available for old iOS versions. And for us, it's a little challenging because we're going to add more features and maybe even not going to work. So at that time, we need to figure out how we want to do. But I think we're going to follow Apple's and just say that it's just available for iOS. I don't know, at the time it's like 15 and no older version. And you need to buy another iPad. Many softwares like that, like they're telling you, this version of Windows or Mac it's not compatible, security issue, technical issues, update.
It's just the standard, yeah. It's just the reality of this part of the industry, I suppose.
Yes.
I am curious, now that it's been a year, and where you were when you first started and where you are now, did you imagine any of this, or did you see any of this, or how does it feel to be a year in to making Calipeg with all the progress you've made?
But it's still a little bit difficult to see, like to put some perspective, because we started like during the pandemic. So generally, you see that you feel that you're successful when generally, on my part, of other people, but when I go to events and I notice that people know the application and they visit at the booth, or we wanted to have a party with people, with our users at ANSI, and we're really looking forward to that because things we couldn't do it. And I'm really looking forward actually to meet people. I already got a good feedbacks, and at ANSI also some people come talk to me and say, "Oh, I know Calipeg." I was like, "Yeah." At least people know us, and we have a lot of followers. So I really wish that Calipeg is more and more attention. And when people think animation on iPad, we're going to think Calipeg. That's like goal. But in 1 year, we see the improvement. We see that people are more responsive. Like when we launch a challenge, we have animation challenge every month. We have more participants, and animation we do is more and more complex. So more and more complex. So it shows that we can do more and more things with the app. So that's great.
I think
after 1 year,
I think I would be really proud of myself. You started basically a business during the pandemic, and everyone's working from home, and then it's like such a clever moment of timing. Obviously, the pandemic is a difficult time in the world, but it's like you guys managed to actually see some good in the middle of the bad, and I think that's something to be very, very proud of. I would want to know, for somebody who is trying to maybe do what you're doing, where they're trying to either start like a new tech business within the animation industry, building their own software, or even like maybe somebody's trying to build their own tool or something for like a phone or something. What's some advice that you would give to someone who's trying to do, something similar to what you guys are doing?
First is like choose the platform carefully. Or the one thing that we are very very happy with is that we got all the distribution, invoicing, and all that very difficult part actually to organize handled by the App Store. So even if we pay a commission, I'm still glad to pay that commission, because if I had to invoice everything we are selling Calipeg now in more than 150 countries and territories. If I had to invoice every single thing in a different currency than euro, I think I spend my days invoice. So this is really a great thing that Apple is doing for us. So really, if people want to start to they want to start to make their own tool, they want to sell it, they need to think about this. The buyer side is easy to buy, is easy to distribute. How do I handle that? How do I handle protection also? Because what the good thing about App Store is that all apps are secured and they are verified. They handle that part. No one can steal your app from you. That's still people can try, but it's really secure. And that's one thing that is very good as a software maker, is because piracy is a huge issue. So in terms of security, legal purchase, really choose platform is important. Or setting up a shop, you need to have that in mind when you make a software available. Or you choose open source, because open source, you don't have this trouble. Maybe organizing the donating part is a little more trickier. So this one I'm not very knowledge. I don't have so much knowledge in that, but I know that some other software they do it very well, like Blender, or they're very good at that. Speaking about part is important when you start.
Sorry, I just wanted to mute. There was an airplane on my side. I'm not sure if you can hear it. I'll just let it pass, then I will ask the question. Okay. Is there anything else that you really want to share about Calipeg that maybe I didn't touch on, or anything that you just want to share with the users of Calipeg before we end the podcast?
But first, thanks to all our users that are using Calipeg, because I don't know many of you, but I'm sure you're amazing. And also, if people make something with Calipeg, please share it on social media, because we will promote it. And finally, that if people or if some users want to integrate Calipeg in their studios, or work professionally on it and they don't know how to start, don't hesitate to ask us for a training, because we can provide training. We can set up a time and just teach them. It's like there's no problem at all. I know some people are hesitating. It's like a little like, okay, I'm going to ask just Photoshop to teach me how to use Photoshop. But Calipeg, there's no problem with that. So if people want to have a private class, we can take 45 minutes, talk about it. There's no problem with that. So it's totally reachable.
Oh, that's awesome. See, Calipeg is a human company, everybody. You can contact them and a real human will answer you and help you to use the software. What are your social media handles, just so that everybody can know where to follow you?
So we have Instagram, a Facebook page, a Twitter, and a LinkedIn page.
And it's all just Calipeg, nothing else, right?
Yes. And on Instagram is calipeg.app. And Facebook's Calipeg, or if you Google Calipeg, you should have all the list.
So that's CALLIPEG.app on Instagram. Yes. And of course, I will link it so that people can find the links. Thank you so much, Lise. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for answering my questions. I'm even more excited about Calipeg. And for the people who watch the video version of the podcast, it'll be very cool for them to see the demo as well. I just finished my conversation with Liz from Inobin, and these are my raw thoughts. Okay, this is not like I'm taking time to reflect. This is like today I spoke to her. And Calipeg is very exciting. I was looking through the tutorials and as I was watching the tutorials and I went through their social media where people who've made animation with Calipeg, sometimes they get featured on the Calipeg Instagram, and I was like mind blown. Okay, I was like, it makes me want to buy an iPad. I was seriously Googling, okay, how much for iPad Pro? Okay, how much for iPad Air? Okay, if that's how much the iPad is and the pencil is, and this is how much it costs for Calipeg, and I would want to do subscription because I want to support them probably forever. I was like seriously considering getting an iPad after looking at the tutorial for Calipeg, and also just after this conversation with Liz, I really do appreciate that there are actual human beings who are making the software tools that we enjoy using and that help us to create the animations that we do. And it's real humans who are really passionate about improving our experience of creating animation. And to hear that they started 1 year ago during the pandemic, and here they are now. They had a successful Kickstarter where they raised over 12,000 euros. It's 12,428 euros. And they are selling to users from 150 countries. And they're even now exhibiting at places like Annecy. They're getting known in the industry as the iPad animation tool. And it's very encouraging, exciting, uplifting, amazing to see that 1 year ago they've made this much progress. How much more progress will they make in the next year, And they've been able to do this during the pandemic, everybody. And it's very cool. It's very inspiring. And it's awesome to actually meet the people who make, this is our modern day paintbrush. They make these tools. I'm very excited to try Calipeg. You guys know that I do animation with TV Paint on my desktop, and I love TV Paint. I'm very satisfied with it. I just want to try another option where I could do some stuff on a mobile device like an iPad with Calipeg and see if I can integrate it with what we do with TV Paint, because that would really work for me. My desktop is fixed. It's got its place and it's fixed. And it's not exactly the best idea to move it around. So if I have a smaller tool where I can just quickly jot something down, or on days when it's just my day to focus on the creative and create art and all of that, and try out an idea and do a little test animation, then I can do it in Calipeg and do it really, really well, such that I can then bring it into the other software program and expand on it from there. But Calipeg for me would be like the starting place where, like, let's say I'm testing out an art style, I've got a new idea for a short or whatever. It could be a really, really cool tool to integrate into my process. And then also for people who are freelance, or do have a growing studio like us at Cabblow Studios. Right now there's 10 of us, including our residents. But maybe you've also got a small team that you're building. An iPad could be a really interesting way to be like your tool that you use for your studio. And then maybe you've got one or two other big machines for heavier projects that you need to do. But for a starting point, or for your animators, or having a lower cost really to starting your studio, you could have your iPads, your iPad Pro, or your an iPad Air, or because there are also many different kinds of iPads, but you have your iPad, you have your iPad Pencil, and then you have Calipeg, and then you can actually start working on animation that professional quality, with a whole background, with sound, with multiple layers of character animation, exported in out of Calipeg as an MP4 and share it with your clients, either online to your social media pages or to wherever they are asking you to make their animations for. It could be a seriously viable way to actually start working in animation without having to spend a lot of money on expensive computers or expensive software programs, especially when you're starting out. Listen, if I had an iPad and I had an animation tool and I was in high school right now, I'd be so excited to be using Calipeg, because when I was in high school, I didn't even know what a Wacom tablet was, guys. I was using Paint, I think. I I was using MS Paint, and no shade to MS Paint. It's the OG, but I was using Microsoft Paint. I was using Windows Movie Editor, and I would scan my pictures with my mom's printer, scan them into Paint, export them probably as PNGs when I didn't understand what a PNG was, then bring them into Windows Movie Maker and try to edit an animation together. And if I had an iPad with an iPad pencil and Callipeg, that process would be a whole lot less clunky. But you know, origin story. So thank you to Liz and to everybody at Innobin for developing Calipeg, because what you guys have done is you have created a game changer, and we at Cabblow Studios love that. We love that, and I personally love that you are game changers, because that's how you make yourself different. And well done to you guys, and thank you everyone for listening to the episode. I hope that you were encouraged, inspired, all of the things. Remember to follow Calipeg on all of their social platforms. All the links will be in the description. That's calipeg.app on Instagram. And also remember to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @Cabblow, or our studio at Cabblow Studios on Instagram. And I'll just talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. Oh wait, I have an outro. I say, have a happy day wherever you are in the world. I almost forgot. Okay, bye everyone.
The Business of Animation podcast is brought to you by Cabblow Studios, hosted by Cabblow, Maca.